So Clay Shirky, whom I think by now most of you have come to know, Clay Shirky is fond of saying that we're living in the middle of the largest increase in expressive capacity in the history of the human race. More people can communicate more things to more people than has ever been possible in the past. My friend Vartan Gregorian, with his cultivated Armenian accent, says it slightly differently. He's the president of Carnegie Corporation. He finds it very useful to maintain a grammatically incorrect English that makes everybody pay attention, and he loves to pull out he actually has a telephone. It's really kind of embarrassing. I don't think it's a smartphone, but he pulls out his phone and says, "My dear Alberto, more information in this machine than Library Alexandria." And it's true. If you think about 2 billion people worldwide use the internet, 5 billion use cell phones. Facebook has more than 600 million users, and there are almost 200 million active Twitter accounts. Every day, YouTube gets a couple of billion hits, while users collectively upload 35 hours of new content every minute. According to Pew, 96% of Americans 18 to 30 have a cell phone, and most of them have smartphones, which means that Vartan is on the side of those who do not. But while digital tools and social media are playing major roles in places like Tunisia and Egypt that are in the news because they allow people to share, access, and mobilize around information, there are still some 30% of Americans in your communities who still do not have access to internet, and many who do not, and many who do lack the digital literacy necessary to really use it. As we've learned over the last 4 years at this media learning seminar, access and information can transform communities, allowing people who live in them to not only participate in the 21st century, but thrive and change them for the better. So it's encouraging that our government has adopted a policy of bringing high-speed internet access to 98% of Americans over the next 5 years. And simply put, if this field represented an opportunity for leadership before, 98% of Americans online should represent for all of us a civic field day. Whether you are intent on transforming education, on improving health care, or keeping your streets safe, information is a critical element in any community change. The key is that information isn't merely a core community need, it's that it is actually necessary to meet all of the other needs. In a democracy, you need an informed citizenry in order to improve education and make streets safer. And in the digital age, you can do it better because the technology so brilliantly lends itself to the engagement of the audience. Over the next 2 days, we'll talk about that engagement and about what community foundations from all over the country are doing about it. You'll hear from people like Arianna Huffington, Facebook co-founder and Jumo founder Chris Hughes, Steve Waldman, the senior advisor to the chairman of the FCC, and ProPublica investigative reporter A.C. Thompson. For those of you who have been to past seminars, you know how intense these 2 days are, and you can also see just how much the seminar has evolved. In the first one in 2008, it was an almost totally one-way street. We talked to you about the media landscape, about what was changing, about what we thought was coming. Our presenters presented, and the audience did most of the learning. Today, the seminar is a true conversation, and that's because of the amount of work that you and your peers have done in just 4 years. Since that first seminar, more than 300 community and place-based foundations have applied to the Knight Information Challenge for matching funds to match what they propose to use for news and information in their communities. We have partnered on 5.5 dozen such projects, and I know that some of the ones that we did not match went on to do their projects without us. I wanted to share with you how these projects are beginning to strengthen local information ecosystems and how they are transforming the very foundations that launched them. In Boulder, the Community Foundation launched an awareness campaign about the importance of early childhood education. After a vote last fall, their initial $100,000 investment turned into $5 million in annual funding for local kids. The Silicon Valley Community Foundation launched a project to educate residents about sustainable city planning and development. The project found compelling data that a reduction of 15% of local greenhouse gas would have as much a positive impact on the region than the recommended 10% reduction. The project shared that information with the local regional planning commission, which adopted it, and that's a significant public policy win. And one of the most compelling examples is that of Central Carolina Foundation, which wanted to help Columbia seniors become digitally literate. So with challenge funds, they launched Big Time, which paired seniors with college students and helped them produce content for a website. At first, they found that the seniors were really more interested in using the internet to do personal things like communicate with their family than engaging in public issues. They saw an opportunity, however, in the 2010 Columbia mayor's election, the first uncontested election in 20 years, to build on their initial work and decided to host a candidates forums for seniors. That led to three candidate forums and opened the door to new partners. Soon the foundation hosted a literacy summit with the local libraries, which led to a plan to make South Carolina the most digitally literate state by 2030. Here's what Executive Director Joanne Turnquist said about the foundation's transformation, the Community Foundation's transformation. We had a strategic plan to be vital and vibrant for our community, but we weren't until the challenge grant. We played on the periphery, and now we're engaged with the mayor's office, we're engaged with the Department of Education, and it goes on and on. I like this story because it illustrates just how important funding and news and information is to being relevant to your community. It shows how a community foundation can be much more than a simple Fidelity or Vanguard or other places that merely grow money. It shows how community foundations can be true leaders of change